Hello again, everyone. This is Gilmer, and based on a viewer, I have decided to play Field of Glory Empires. This is the newest Aegod game. It is, as you can tell, a grand campaign for a bunch of different civilizations from 310 BCE to 190 CE. And I'm not exactly sure what the BCE and CE stand for. I know that I've seen it somewhere and read it somewhere, but it's basically BC before Christ and AD after Anno Domini, which is Latin for in the year of our Lord. Doesn't mean after death. It means in the year of our Lord. So basically, when he was born is basically supposed to have been when Anno Domini started, but I think they got a little bit of it wrong on when he was actually born. They think he might have been born in 4 BC now, but regardless, this is this is obviously the non-Christian way of designating the years, but still acknowledging that a lot of people go by those years. I think. I heard one of the things that the Christians did that was so, mind blowing was they said, this this age or whatever started when Jesus was born, and that basically led to everything. Everybody's kind of Christianocentric when it comes to dates, I guess, at this point, but based on the way we count years. But regardless, I'm not going to get into a big religious discussion. This is right after Alexander the Great has been dead for a decade. His successors, the Diadochi, are fighting in the east over the right to wear his mantle or carve out their own realm. In the west, conflict between Rome and Carthage looks to be inevitable. The current year is 310 BCE. History awaits you. Grand campaign. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to play a full game because, as you can see, that's going to be 500 turns, and I've actually played this game through 500 turns, and it takes forever. And I haven't played it in several months, so there have been some updates, and some of the updates was war. They made the game a little bit more balanced, made it, the easier levels a little bit more easy. Balanced is supposed to be a lot better. I am not experienced with this game, except other than I have played it one time. I did play it all the way through under easy. And honestly, let me go back for a second. The sound effects are very loud. I turned off the music just because I tend to get I wouldn't say demonetized because I don't really monetize my videos. What would be the point? I don't have that many followers. I'm doing this more as a love for the games than really to make any kind of money. But regardless, when I put music in my videos that is generated by somebody else, I get these emails saying a claim has been lodged against your video you don't have to do anything, you're just not going to get any money off of it, which I wouldn't get any money off of it anyway. But regardless, I don't even like getting the emails. So again, scenarios, grand campaign. I'm going to go with balanced. I know that is pretty low in experience. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 levels of experience, and I just have not played this game that much to know the ins and outs. I think I've got a kind of a somewhat decent handle on some of the aspects, but I'm sure there's a lot for me to learn, a lot more for me to learn. A lot of people might ask, why haven't you played it much? Well, I do like the game, but I like doing other stuff better. So I haven't really come back to this. I was planning eventually to come back to it, of course. I do have a game ongoing right now that supposedly the 1.05, which is this version, uh, my save games are compatible with the 1.05 version, so I might play some more. And that is, I was playing Rome and I was playing balanced, and I was actually doing all right. I mean, I wasn't losing anything, and I was gaining some land, so I wasn't doing so badly, so poorly. I think I had taken 2 or 3 provinces in the boot, and I was down here getting close to Sicily, but not quite there. I was up here. I think I had taken a couple of provinces over here because I had been given a mission to take them. So I went ahead and took some over here, and there were some unincorporated, regions over here, basically barbarians that I fought and killed off, and so I wasn't doing so badly. Everybody on the boot did declare war on me almost immediately, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be from what I'd read on forums and other things. So let's just click get started. Although the Tesseraconter was one of the biggest ships ever put to sea with 40 rowers per column of oars, it was a prestige ship not fit for battle. More practically, quinqueremes were fielded by several nations and easily dwarfed by the more usual trireme ships. Alright. So here you have a view similar to a lot of Paradox games, if you ask me, where you start out, you can pick your nation or whoever you want to be, and it has a big map of Europe. A lot like, I would say, Crusader Kings 2, except that you don't really have any incorporated kingdoms in a sense. You do have some fairly large, I guess they would be called kingdoms, in Antigonos. Some of these others. Antigonos is really large. I don't know what I want to play, though, because Macedonia, I will be honest, Macedonia, in the one game that I finished, Macedonia just took the ball and ran off. It was ridiculous. But they won. They didn't win the sudden death win, but they did win overall, and they were pretty far ahead by the time we got to the end. There was not very many ways of catching them at that point. So, as we've read that part for it already, these are the major nations: Rome, Antigonos, Carthage, Lysimachos, Macedonia, Ptolemaios, and Seleucos. Where's Seleucos? Oh, yes. Right. Seleucos is very large as well. Now, the difficulty with this, I think, is that it's so large, it's hard to manage. If you read, Seleucos managed to gain the bulk of Alexander's empire and did well in the early wars of the Diadochi. However, from 310 BC, eastern provinces were steadily lost, though the elephants that the Mauryan Empire sent in exchange were to play a decisive role at Ipsus in the defeat of Antigonus. I might have pronounced that wrong earlier. I might have pronounced it wrong just then. In the next wave of wars, Seleucus secured an empire stretching from Babylon to the Aegean, but the invasion of Greece failed in 281 BCE. Victory over the Galatians didn't mask the slow loss of eastern provinces to revolts in the Parthians. Equally, another attempt to expand into Egypt was defeated in 244 BCE. However, despite his defeat at Raphia, Antiochus the Great managed to revive the empire, retaking long-lost eastern provinces. However, war with Rome ended in a major defeat in 197 BCE and the loss of most of Asia Minor. After Antiochus' death, the state fragmented into civil wars and a number of small kingdoms emerged, all of which were then absorbed either by the Romans or the Parthians. Syria became a Roman province in 63 BCE, and some of the successor states, notably Comagny, continued as a Roman client kingdom for another century. Ruler Seleucus at war with Antigonus, client state Bactria at peace with Morea. Well, I'm not really sure about Saka. Remarkable factions. Making the Scythian people, their tribes roam the vast expanses around Mare Caspian. I guess that means that's for sea, the Caspian Sea, and often made deep raids against Parthia and Bactria. Then later, the Indo-Greek kingdom, fearsome warriors, they made expensive use of the bow, either on foot or on horseback. No treaties. What should I play? Macedonia can be badass. On the death of Alexander, Cassander took control of Macedonia, but a sequence of civil wars and Gallic invasions weakened the country in the period to 250 BCE. By this stage, descendants of Antigonus ruled the state, and for the next half a century, Macedonia became the major power in Greece, bringing it into conflict with Rome. Defeat in 197 BCE left the kingdom weakened, and by 146 BCE, it was little but a Roman province. And they're at war with the Ptolemies. Yeah, that's basically Egypt. Ptolemaic Egypt. So I'm not sure who I should pick. I mean, Rome's the easiest choice because Rome is Rome. Everybody knows who Rome is. Everybody knows what they did. Difficulty is fairly easy, 3 of 5. Interest, 5 of 5. At the start of the game, Rome is just emerging as the dominant power in central Italy. By 281 BCE, it had become to dominate the south, but this has also brought war with Carthage. By 202 BCE, Rome had survived near destruction to have the start of an empire spread over Italy, Spain, and North Africa, and with growing involvement in Greece. The next 2 centuries saw territorial expansion, civil war, and the loss of the republican form of government. By 100 CE, Rome ruled from northern Britain to the Atlas Mountains along the Rhine and the Danube, all of the eastern Mediterranean. However, the need to keep a large population content led to increasing financial problems and the start of decline. Ruler patrician party at war with the Senones. We could start with Rome if there's interest in Rome, me playing Rome, then I can stick with it. If not, I might take over something else. Just depends. All these, like green, are basically barbarians, Celtic independent. So they're each their own little region, their own little state, if you will. They're not ruled by anybody but themselves. If you attack them, they will fight, and you will be considered at war with basically every one of them. But they don't fight in any kind of organized fashion, and their troops are not very good. So they do tend to have lots of troops at times, though. I will say that. And here's some of the northern Germanic, I guess, tribes, although they're Celtic. Because the Celtic tribes really covered a lot of ancient Europe. They ruled a lot, but there are some Germanic. This one doesn't really tell me if they're Germanic. This one does say they're Germanic. It's a German tribe along the banks of the Vistula River. They would absorb over time more and more tribes in their loose confederation. Obviously, the Gothones ended up being the Goths and the Visigoths and such. So eventually, they overthrow Rome. I think that was the Visigoths one time that sacked Rome. And the rest of these troops or tribes are Celtic tribes. There's a Germanic tribe. I did read a little bit about them just recently, about how they kind of took over what is current Slovenia or Slovakia. I can't remember which one. I think Slovakia. It seems like they're more in the area of, where Slovakia is. And, this is what we have over here. I did play this group, and I played it on my first playthrough, and I chose them because they're out of the limelight, out of the way, easy to defend an island, and it worked out pretty good. I had a pretty good time playing them, but it's kind of boring at first because you don't start out with very strong economic provinces, and it takes a little time to gain some momentum. But at some point, I did basically take all of the English Isle, and they got some badass troops. They're troops when you can start building their provincial troops. They've got some pretty badass troops. But the Goths do too. And we'll probably get into the battle system. There are two ways of resolving battles, or really three ways. One is instant battle. I think it's kind of like Total War. Instantly, battle, and you're given the results. You don't see anything. It just says these two armies attacked each other. This one won. This one lost. This one lost this many troops. This one lost this many troops, and it's over. The second type of battle is the in-game battle that is a little bit more detailed, and you have units of troops facing off against each other, kind of on a stylized board, if you will, and one unit goes up against one unit, one after the other, until the battle is resolved. And their troops, the Goths, their provincial troops, are pretty badass in those battles. They kick ass in those battles. Once you get this province, if you're able to get this province and start producing these Goth provincial units, it's you can really make your armies very invincible. So, like I said, we could probably start with Rome. I can restart it, and I'm probably going to play at most about 40 to 50 episodes of this. I don't want to play 500 turns, because once you get into these late turns, if you're successful, you got a lot of stuff to manage and micromanage. So it really gets tedious as you get further along. So I don't want to go 500 turns of tedium and micromanaging a huge empire. But in the beginning, it's pretty easy. Rome has 3 regions, I think is what it's called. So I'm going to try this. It's balanced. Let's just go ahead and click OK. And I've actually talked a lot, so this video probably could be more called episode 0, where it's just the setup. Rome context. At the start of the game, Rome is just emerging as the dominant power in central Italy. By 281 BCE, it had come to dominate the south, but this also brought war with Carthage. By 202 BCE, Rome had survived near destruction to have the start of an empire spread over Italy, Spain, and North Africa, and with growing involvement in Greece. The next 2 centuries saw territorial expansion, civil war, and the loss of the republican form of government. By the 100 CE, Rome ruled from northern Britain to the Atlas Mountains, along the Rhine and the Danube, all of the eastern Mediterranean. However, the need to keep a large population content led to increasing financial problems and the start of decline. I've already read that, and I wish I hadn't read it again, but gameplay. Rome has many advantages and a few drawbacks. Several modifiers will provide extra leaders, and the Legion is a very good heavy infantry unit which can be improved twice as the game progresses. Your early navy is weak, but this will improve with the right decisions, or the right decision. You are well placed to defend your regions with Roman forts, and the extra cultural conversion rate from Colonia and Municipium should help you spread the Pax Romana at a decent speed. At the start, you are at war with the Senones, and this needs to be handled with some care. Build up before trying to invade them. Once this war is out of the way, either by conquest or peaceful means, you should take over the Samnites and the Etruscans. You then need to decide: move south and tangle with Carthage, north and fight the Gauls and the Germans, or east to secure the riches of Greece. In any case, you have the capacity to expand, but doing so too rapidly will lead to increase in decadence, making Rome more of a challenge than it might appear at first. So that's a very important line. Expanding too rapidly will lead to increasing decadence, which makes it more of a challenge than it might appear at first sight. And decadence is very important in this game, and decadence is probably hard to explain until you see it for yourself. A fight for survival. The Roman Republic has to contend with several threats right from the start. The Senones, a Celtic tribe to your northeast, are eager to repeat the sack of Rome. They are your main enemy at the start, as they are already at war with your nation. The Etruscan and Samnites are your neighbors and will have to be pacified one way or another. The Roman army consists of 2 disciplined Roman legions and 2 allied legions called the Ally. I don't know how you pronounce that word. It's obviously a Latin word, but 2 extra legions can be recruited very rapidly. It is advised to do so, as things will get tense very soon. So, this is the game screen. A lot of things going on here, and honestly, I actually probably need to close this video because I think I'm running a little long. I'd like to keep my videos right at about 20 minutes, and I've gone on a little long, but one of the big things is this is very similar to Civilization in a way, because you have your population is 1, 2, 3, people are listed here. Some are citizens, some are slaves. Italic citizen, that is an Italian or Roman citizen. Italic slaves, obviously the Roman Empire had a lot of slaves at the time. And here are your groups of city improvements. So you have an aqueduct, and then you have all these. This is the military. This is for business, commerce, and then this is for culture. As you can see, we have the Senate. So, and then this over here gives you a kind of a summary of what's going on. If you remember Civilization, you would have a kind of a repository of food, and food drives how quickly you grow. Then you have food production. This is the food you have on hand. This is the production you have, plus 16 a turn. This is your manpower. We could go on and on and on for this. Honestly, if you're looking for me to explain to you the exact details of how to play, it's probably not going to happen. I'm going to assume most people know some of the characteristics of the actual game, and as you watch, you'll kind of notice some of the things I do. So, if you need anything explained explicitly, just let me know in the comments. I do check my comments fairly regularly. For some reason, I'm not getting notifications of some of my comments, but hopefully I will get notifications, and plus I'll check. I'll just check and make sure. So anyway, this is our initial video for Field of Glory Empires playthrough, and let me know what you think. If you think things are going great, let me know. If you think things are going horribly, let me know, and we'll take it from there. Alright, thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good night.